Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Battle of Generations, Pia versus Gotham. This is day number 5 out of 6. We've played 4 classical games. They were each worth 3 points, so the score is 6-6. And today we play 6 games of rapid chess, which in retrospect was a completely idiotic scheduling decision because it is so long and so brutal. At the World Rapid Championships, where they play 14 games or 13 games in 3 days, they play maximum 5 games a day. We made it 6. Now, before the match, I pitched that if we were going to do 6, we should do like 10-minute rapid instead of 15. Anna said, my co-host, Anna Kramling, she's covering the event and helping out with all of the logistics and providing the mother to play. We discussed that 15-minute was better. But yeah, we have to play 6 rapid games. So very crazy, but I'm pretty happy. Today was a good day. And tomorrow we play 12 Blitz games for your entertainment. Shout out to everybody sponsoring. Today is November 1st. So as of today, 34% of the stores that will feature the GothamChess chessboard will have them in stock. I have been informed that if you go to your local Walmart and ask to see the As Seen on TV section, the GothamChess chessboard may or may not be there, but that is what people are reporting. So go check your local Walmart. There might be 5 to 10 in the inventory. And yeah, that's the shout out. Let's analyze 6 rapid games because they were crazy. So we're going to kick things off with this game. And by the way, all the ratings are different because these are FIDE rapid ratings. So Pia's rapid rating is 2374. Mine's 2280, which is like abysmal. But I've never played, listen to this, I have never played a rapid tournament over the board in my life. 15-minute especially. 25-minute maybe back in the day, but I've never played this. So I opened up with c4. I decided today that I was going to stick to c4 and d4. And Pia responded with e5. I went g3 because in the previous classical game I had played knight c3. I went here. She played c6. I think she was trying to play d4, pawn takes d4, which is what she likes to play. I went here, and I went knight f3. And here the main line is e4, knight d4. Nope, e4, knight d4, and the game is very complicated and crazy. But Pia went here, and this move is very, very solid. It does give white an advantage, but I didn't know how to exploit it because nobody plays d6. Like, everybody now in modern era is like, well, the computer says to play e4, so I will. It turns out that the best way to exploit this is to play like knight c3, d3, e4. Didn't really know that. So I went here, and then here, and then at this point, I can actually play d4 right away. I didn't because I thought this was quite strong, and I thought this was quite strong. But after bishop g5, it's kind of difficult for black to hold the whole position together because what I'm going to do is I'm going to play e3, and then I'm going to take on f6, I'm going to take on d5, and the game will proceed. Bishop e6, I can take here. Okay, or not. I should take on d5 first. Yeah. So, look, anyway, I went here, which was the whole point of this move was to play d4, so that now there is no e4. She went rook e8. I took and I went e4. I wasn't really happy with the way I was playing. And at this point, I was like, I just gave her a square to work with, which, she's like a technician. She's going to find a way to get the piece here. So she went bishop g4. I went h3 because I was like, she's going to take my knight anyway, right? So I might as well not just let the bishop sit there. It wasn't the best move, but I needed to play a little bit faster, and she went knight d7, and the knight is going to go to d4. So I was not happy with this position. I really didn't like it. I didn't like that her knight was going to go here. I prepared for it, and then here I wanted to go rook d2, but I rejected this because I was like, she's completely going to land a knight on d4. I mean, this is going to be terrible for me. So 9 minutes to 14 is what we're off to here. I mean, rapid is just really hard. 15 minutes seems like an eternity, but all of a sudden you're down 33% of your opponent's clock time. I mean, it's really, really dangerous. So I went c5. She went here, and she started attacking me. And here I really, really went in the tank. I spent like 2 minutes and 50 seconds, which is a lot of time for an 8-minute clock. And I went a3, and I calculated a sequence where after take, knight d4, I actually can take with the bishop and do this. And my position is not that bad. And so she went knight d7, which was very creative. She was trying to take on d4 and play knight e5 or something. And I went here. I spent a lot of time. I thought bishop g2 was natural. But according to the engine, bishop e2 is even better. So I'm just really a genius. And I went here. And then I went king g2 and knight d3. And all, I've created like a little barrier. And her pawn is strong, but it's not doing anything impressive. And around right here, I was like, wait a minute. Bro, she like... I might win this game. Because she's really poorly positioned here. And I have f4 on the way. And when Pia went bishop h6, this screamed like a bad move. She played this move to stop f4, and what I should do now is I should maybe try to go for this, and then let my queen go that way. Whoops. My queen goes this way, and my rook goes this way. Now, I actually figured that out, but a little bit later, you'll see. Bishop c4, queen e2, queen h5, queen g4, and like, again, right around here, maybe I could have been more accurate. I could have went queen g4 right away. She would have went like rook d8, and then I would, keep poking. But I have some form of an advantage, and her king is feeling a little bit weak. But then she played a very nice pawn sacrifice. She got counterplay, and yeah, it was a very nice idea by her. Now, here's something really funny happened. I calculated that in this position, I'm taking her pawn, and I just thought I'm better. When she went here, I thought she made an illegal move. I forgot that my queen no longer pins the bishop to the king. Like, this is the type of level of chess that we're dealing with here, I was like, she played bishop c5. I like looked at her, was like, what? Oh, oops. So now I have to give a check and come here. And this is a drawn endgame because opposite colored bishops are drawn endgames. Now you're going to see how I drew this. I actually just gave up my f2 pawn because she cannot ever push this pawn. Why? Well, it's funny. I could be down 2 pawns and this is a draw. Let me show you how. I can literally lose this pawn and this is still a draw. So as long as no pawn can make progress, it's just a draw. So, game 1 of the rapid was a draw. The opening felt more pleasant for her, but then I managed to kind of neutralize it. And so we split that point and it's 7-7. I'm going to cover it from my perspective. So d4, knight f6, I went back to the true and tried. First of all, I played a6 to avoid the Catalan. I didn't know if she was going to play the Catalan. She's clearly content with playing this. So d5. And she played slightly differently than our classical game where we repeated moves. You may remember bishop d3. She played h6. I played h6, g5. So she went h3. The whole point is that now you can play bishop f4 and bishop h2. And so before preparing today, I very quickly looked at at h3, just like very briefly if she wants to keep this. And all I remembered was that black goes bishop b4. But I've played like a million of these positions. So h6 and c5. And I mean, this is sort of the play that you're going for. This one got out of hand pretty quickly. I played a really stupid move. I played c4, which is fine, but queen a5 is completely idiotic. I mean, it's not like, it's not like losing, but queen a5 only ever makes sense when there's a king in the center. I mean, queen a5 just, but I kind of was like, well, she's going to start playing in the center, so I should play queen a5. She played queen e1. She kind of respected the threat. The computer here just says a3, which is really, I mean, that's crazy. Just lose the pawn and play queen b1, which I'm kind of fortunate Pia is a more positional and fundamental player. I mean, like, queen a5 is brain dead. I mean, it's a very, very, very bad move. But she went here. She respected my pressure. And then here I traded into this pawn structure and I went knight e4. She has to take. And this. And I was very happy here because I knew right away, like, okay, I'm not going to lose. By the way, you see I'm down 5 minutes on the clock again. So she went here, tried to break apart my center. I kept the center together. And my bishop and this knight are kind of like at odds. She went a4. She wants to play a5. I played b5. And I thought, like, we're heading for a draw. I mean, she's not going to be able to break through. She goes here. I went here, which the computer here says king f7, a b, rook a8, rook a8, give up the pawn on b5, and you have a defensive fortress. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. You just down a pawn. Rook b4, yeah, rook a3, knight c4, just play down a pawn, moron. I didn't like that. She went here, I went here, and then here I thought, oh, that's a mistake. Because I was a little bit worried that she could sack the pawn and then play, you know. So I took with the bishop, and I was like, yo, I'm cooking. I'm cooking because I have an outside pass pawn. I'm going to go knight f6. Like, my next move is knight f6. My next move is knight d5. I don't understand how she's going to make any moves. Then she went knight takes e4, and I was like, holy shit. I was like, I can't believe I just blundered that. Oh my God, that's crazy. Now if rook e4, rook b5. I mean, I just thought I'm losing. But then I gathered my nerves, which is a big learning moment, you know, big growing moment. And I went here. And I was like, oh, that's kind of nice because after the knight moves, I'm just going to take the pawn and I'm fine. Then I missed that she can go here. And if I take on e3, she has knight f5. And if I, move somewhere, she's going to fork me. Well, it turns out I could just do this. Knight e7, king h7, here, and it's equal. I forgot I could play rook e6. So I made it a little bit more difficult for myself by sacrificing a pawn and trying to defend this endgame, which I still thought was satisfactory because this pawn struggles to get forward. Then I proceeded to go down to like 1 minute on the clock, and it was very dangerous here. She went here, so my rook is hanging, and so is this bishop. I found this idea where we clear off all the pawns. I felt like she has all the winning chances here because her pawns just seem faster. But it's actually not that simple. And after rook d3, the computer just thinks it's a draw. Which, yeah, I guess. I thought bishop b6. But let's not forget, I also have pawns. d5, I can always do what I did in the game, but also I have h4. So I should give myself a bit of credit, but as you see, I played that move with 4 seconds on the clock, so that's why it says 14. And then I went here, sacrificed. So rook and bishop versus rook is a draw, but it's very hard to defend, especially with no time. But I didn't have to do that because I just made a defensive fortress. She can't break through it. She tried, as is her right. She walked the king and walked the king and walked the king. But the king, there's just absolutely nothing you can do. And game 2 ends in a draw. So it's 8-8. We've made 2 draws. And now that's the last draw. That's the last draw of the day. So very tense. This game was both. We played at 98%. I feel like I'm struggling a little bit with time management and rapid, but ultimately I am playing good moves. Now, game number 3, we go back to in English. This time I repeat the opening from the other day, from the 3rd classical game. You might remember this, all of this. Now Pia plays d6 instead of playing e4, which is what she played in that game. And all I knew here is, I should play b4 and bishop b2. That is like the only difference. And now we have a kind of a totally fresh position, something that we haven't had yet. And that's what I like. I mean, Pia's down for a fight. Like, she's playing these reverse Sicilians. They're very, very complicated. And we actually have to think a lot in every game. So rook e8, I went e3, which is one of the setups. I can also, if we get this position again, I could put the bishop here as well. I went here, and then I castled. I could do some other things. And the computer was really liking how I was playing. It thought d3 was smart, and she went knight d7, and it even liked rook e1. I was very uncertain about a lot of these moves, but I played rook e1 because the queen and the bishop are here, so if d4 and everything opens, life is good. And I played d4. Now, here I was extremely uncertain about how I was playing this position, and yet the computer is saying right now I'm playing at 100% accuracy. Like, every move I've played is a top engine move, but it just felt a little, like, dicey, She went here. And I really, really struggled here to decide, should I keep my queen on the same line as the rook, but pressure the knight, or should I play queen b3? And then this move really surprised me. Now, here I saw the continuation, which I really wanted to play. I really wanted to go d5, but I couldn't see what to do after cb4, because now there's bishop d5 with my queen. Yeah, the computer's like, you're chilling. Just take e4, which is nuts. I didn't see e4. Another idea that you can play is CB and like A7 hangs in a lot of lines. I also here wanted to play take queen G5 and just bishop F1. And this is the top line of the engine. But I was like, why am I paralyzing my bishop? Well, the point is that now I'm going to go D5. And so, yeah, this was actually the best plan. Now, black can play bishop F3 or something. And if we open up the entire position, white is just better. Which is funny. Yeah, I saw knight g5 and bishop f1, but I'm just not that good yet. So I went here. I spent half my time, and I got to this pawn structure. And during the game, I was like, oh, I'm worse. So, but my bishop is there, so I got to open up the position for my bishop. And then here I'm like, look, let's just go to this endgame and let's make a draw, right? Like I'm not going to win this game. So, you know, let's make a draw. Let's try to defend ourselves. I do this, queen e4, queen e6. And now here Pia surprised me. First of all, she played f5, which is fine because I just thought, you know, she takes, I take, she's going to play e4. We'll trade some pawns. We'll make a draw. But then she went here and allowed me to get my rook to attack her pawn first. And, you know, my rook is on the 7th rank, which is very important in the rook endgame, so I have practical winning chances. And she, like, brought her rook down. She traded this, but now I kicked out her rook, and this was all fine. But suddenly there are some really nasty threats for black to deal with, not to mention all the pawns on the 5th rank are kind of like bowling pins. And all of a sudden, like, it's not easy at all to defend this endgame, although I have 30 seconds versus 4 minutes. But here I thought e4 was the way to go. But the drawing idea is not that simple. e4, king g2, trying to get closer. And now here, black has to give up another pawn. That's not that easy. And the point is that after rook e4 is a loss because the pawn promotes. So if f e4, there's this, and these pawns are never going to scare anybody. You'll just, you know, bring the rook down. But Pia misplayed this. She let me close the position, which, okay, I should have played rook e5 first, but she let me close the position. And suddenly, I'm like, wait a minute. My pawns are surviving. My king is going to join them. I'm going to win this pawn, and I have f and e versus h. I'm just like, I'm winning. This is crazy. So I checked her because either she has to walk to the f file and lose this, which I think she should do. I think this is practically the best. But she went here, and here I was like, I gotta be winning. And, you know, I went rook g4. I didn't want to let her king off the h file, but I should have. I should have played rook f5 or something. And then apparently this is a mistake. I mean, I played it with 5 seconds remaining, so it's not really, you know, I thought about rook f4, but I was like, e5, which is a draw after h5. I don't understand why, like rook here. I don't really get it. Like, I feel like I'm winning this pawn and I'm pushing, but yeah, I guess king h7, rook f8, and then the king. Yeah, so this is why. The point is that now king f5. The king gets active. So I should have played rook f4, but that's not. Yeah, Pia went here, and after king f4, still h5 is correct. Because it's with the tempo, but now, yeah, king f3 and black is simply losing. Yeah, I didn't want to play rook f4, but I should have just taken the pawn. And but yeah, the end game is winning because black walks the pawn to its death, and my king and 2 pawns just march up, and the king is still cut off. So in this position, Pia resigned, and I won the first game in the rapid segment. Well, game 3, but the first decisive game. This was a huge win. I mean, I really felt like I persevered in this game. It was very complicated. I was worse for a move in the middle game, and my time management in rapid is very bad. But you know, I'm fighting, and now I have a 2-point lead. This was the best game that I've played in this match so far. I felt like a genius playing this game. I'm very proud of this game. It started out again with the Queen's Gambit decline, but this time I played knight b d7. So I didn't play a6, I didn't play h6. I played knight b d7. We entered the Carlsbad structure again, and I played c6. So now it's actually a semi-Slav. It's as if I played c6, bishop g5, knight b d7, c d e d. So c6 is slightly different. I played a game in Italy where I played bishop b4. If you follow this channel, c6 is just another move. You know, you got to be good at all these structures if you want to play these lines. And here I went h6, and I was going to see where she was going to put the bishop before proceeding. She went here. So I went back to bishop b4 like I did in this game. I like these more kind of active Queen's Gambit declines with the bishop on b4. As you can see, it's slightly different structure, but right. Now, remember how in this game I said queen a5 was a really stupid move because it only makes sense with a king in the center? Well, there you go. It only makes sense with a king in the center. She played rook c1, and then rather than taking, I just went back. And I went back because I was like, well, now she can't castle queenside, which is a common idea that sometimes white likes to employ. She didn't like that knight e4 was coming, so she went knight d2, but stepping backwards here is a mistake. I actually wanted to castle really quickly, but then a move dawned on me, which was, which kind of shows like my understanding of dynamic positions. It kind of shows like the clash of styles in this match. And before castling, again, and remember in the second game of the rapid, she played h3. Her bishop is out in the open, and I'm trying to get it. I'm always looking for imbalance against Pia. I'm looking for bishop versus knight. That's the kind of stuff that I'm looking for. And she gets to save her bishop by attacking my queen, but now she's very passive. And I thought about going a5 here, but I came up with a game plan, which is f5. Now, the computer calls this a mistake. But it's not obvious why. It's really not obvious why. After bishop d3, first of all, I have this, and she can't take on f5 because the knight is hanging. But after this, she can take on f5, and I didn't really know why I would lose a pawn, which is why I went g6. Now, in this position, there is a move that is not findable. It's not, I mean, I feel like no human being can play this move. I think the move, if it's not on this move, it's on the next move. I think the move is like e4. If it's not here, then it's in a move. But another move that I thought she could play was g4, which is a really crazy move. So if knight g7, she can go knight e2 and knight f4. But probably if g4, I have to take, which is kind of crazy. And then she goes here, knight g7, position's insane. h3, I go here. And so I was sitting there going, look, if Pia plays g4, like, God bless her, you know, we're going to have a crazy game. But this is, I thought, like a perfect practical weapon. And when she played slowly, that gave me time to play knight f6. And then when she played g4, I went back to g7. And now I thought I had a great setup because now I'm going to go knight e4. And she's committed to having a king in the center of the board, which I figured she would be slightly unpleasant. You know, it would be a bit unpleasant for her. So she went here. I put my queen back. By the way, if I rush this, is a nice way to lose. Check this out. That'd be sick, right? Anyway, I saw that because I'm not that bad. I went here. And at this point, I'm thinking, well, that's it. I mean, it's just a matter of time because I'm castled. Ultimately, I have kind of the better piece configuration. Knight g3, right away, I was like, bishop h4. And now it just feels like a matter of time before the breakthrough happens. She went bishop b4. I thought it was a reasonable move. I mean, I just moved my rook. I was looking for all sorts of sacrifices. Like, for example, if g takes f5, I was going to go knight takes f2, which is absolutely beautiful. King f2, knight f5, bishop f5, and I attack her queen. And if the queen, like, moves, I didn't know how I would win here, but I felt like it was winning. I calculated bishop e4. No, I calculated bishop d3 here. And bishop g3, and if she takes, it's rook f1. Crazy. Yeah, I mean, the attack is just so powerful here. But okay, she went here, and then in this position, I got a miss. I was trying to kind of, you know, I could have played knight takes f2 here as well, but I went here. But it's just a matter of time. I kick out the bishop, I bring the knight here, and now the pawn is coming down the board. I felt very nice. Like, this game was flowing, and I ended it in style. I traded the queens. And I sacrificed the rook. That was, I can't yell it because I'm tired. But rook f3 is a beautiful little move. Hits the knight. Here's a really funny thing. I played rook f3. I thought it was check. Like, my brain skipped a step. I played like rook f3 and I was like, oh, it's check. But it's not. That's, again, this is the brain that we're working with. Officially, Pia lost on time here, but it's losing anyway. I take on g1. And I'm just up a piece. I thought rook f3 was very nice. I was very happy when I won this game. So now I have a 4-point lead. I have a 2-game lead in the rapid. And we go to this this third game I have with white. This time I went back to the London because I really liked the first classical game. I thought I got a nice position. And again, Pia likes to kind of clarify pawn structures early. So I figured, look, I'm gonna kind of, you know, play low risk. You know who didn't play low risk? Pia freaking Cramling. I mean, knight h5. I was like, what? I was like, she's been hanging around me too much. Like 5 days with Gotham Chess got Pia playing knight h5. I was like, oh my goodness, that is bananas. Knight h5. Now, the point is obviously just create imbalance as fast as possible. I went here. If she takes, I can take with the pawn or the knight. This knight is a bit offside. Now, bishop g3 is apparently wrong. There's like a crazier move there, which is, I don't even know what. But I just went here. Looked natural. She traded. I thought I could take with a knight, but I took with a pawn so she doesn't get more space in the center. And when she went g6, I was like, is she about to do what I think she's about to do? Because g6, you're going to go bishop g7, you're going to play e5. And here she just blundered. It looks like there is no bishop takes g6 because pawn takes rook. But this is actually a common tactic in other lines. And I sacrificed my rook. Again, it's hardly a sacrifice, but the point is that if she takes it, I take on g6 and I take here. And this is a mix of tilt and also just exhaustion. I mean, it's the 5th hour of play, and yeah. I didn't feel good playing rook takes h7 because, my opponent is a extremely, extremely high level, classy player. And this is the battle of generations. And yeah, we are in the 5th hour of play. But a match is a match, and, it's not over, by the way. It's not over. Like, I still have to play very good moves, and I did. I actually followed this up with a series of very accurate moves. Here I played the kind of cold-blooded c3, so I block her knight's infiltration, and I let her do this. My original plan here had been to play king e2. She can't take because I have this and a fork, but I didn't go for this because after take, and simply e5, I thought black is doing pretty well. So I went knight f1, which I'm very happy to report is the top move of the computer. I didn't even consider it until we got here. Now I can go here. This is apparently a mistake because here I can sack my bishop, which is beyond stupid. Knight h4, and where's my win? Queen h5, and here, and long castle. And this is apparently winning because the queen is stuck, I guess. Okay, whatever. I don't know. I thought I played naturally. I'm just the pawn up. I have to consolidate. She created some counterplay here. I was very happy with how I handled this position. Knight d2. I play c4, so she doesn't open the b file. And then I bring my rook there. I bring my knight. And I really liked how I just coordinated all of my pieces here. I felt as though this style of maneuvering and slowly improving the position really came after 5 days of playing Pia. I wasn't rushing. I was very cold, cool, calm, and collected, making weaknesses, securing the square, jumping my knight out of the position to get my knights here, jumping this knight in, improving it. I was like, I really feel like I'm flowing. The ideas are flowing. Granted, Pia did blunder in the opening. Anybody can be smart when they get a +2 advantage. So we maneuvered, and ultimately I got a second pawn. And it's not exactly how I wanted to win, but I was up 3 games going into the last rapid game, which is 6 points, a lot of points. And so the last rapid game begins. And we go back to an opening we've played a lot. We've played these kinds of structures. She played bishop g5 first. I could have went c6 or bishop b4. We've played both. So I went bishop b4. And here we played a line which is very long, c4, bishop f5, all of this. And this position has been reached in the database many, many times. And here, what I was remembering is that the move is knight d2. This is the move because you have to stop knight e4, black goes g6, etc. But Pia played this, and I did something so stupid here. I thought for so long. I thought for what felt like an eternity on my next move. I was just I couldn't remember what to do. I wanted to go here. But then I was like, why would I do that? Why would I? So then I was like, okay, I'm going to attack the bishop. And then I'm going to go a6 with the idea to play b5. And I'm down 8 to 840 here. So I felt so stupid. And the stupidity continued after thinking for 6.5 minutes. It might have been exhaustion. It might have been the 6th hour of play. I go here, and Oh, I did something so dumb here. I'm annoyed even looking at it. I knew that I was going to go b5. Pia was going to go a4. I was going to go knight b6. We were going to trade light squared bishops. We were going to trade here. She can't take my pawn on b5 because she has back rank problems. So I just did that. I just zoomed into this position. And then I was like, what am I doing? Why did I not start with g5 so that she cannot take my knight and ruin my pawn structure? I was so annoyed. I could have done it, actually, even when she took on b5. I could have done it instead of knight b6, not when she took on b4, when she played a4. Even here, I could have played g5. But I gave her this structure. I mean, that was just... I was so annoyed at myself. And then I wanted to like play knight a4 and knight b2 and knight here. And this sort of continued. Like, I was in a very, very bad mood because I could have just had the pawn on g5. And I mean, imagine you get to this pawn structure. Like, black is just better. This is the thing, like, about the structure is like, black is just better. She plays a5, I play knight a4. It's like winning for black, you know? She has to probably play AB, and some move. And black is just better. This pawn is weak. And I mean, I could have, you know, but I guess that's just sort of how it goes sometimes. And, you know, she's just outplaying me. F3, very nice idea. E4, nice idea. I'm trying to catch up on time and on position, and it's really not working. She finds a great move here, rook a4. Look, I didn't see rook a4. So, and then here, you know, I'm like down to my last few seconds. But I think Pia misplays, and she plays king f2. She should have kept the king a bit more active, and she blunders this. And I'm like, oh, I'm back in the game, right? I'm going to take the pawn on a5, and I'm going to get in on the second rank, and I'm not even down any pawns. I mean, it felt like I should have just been down a pawn after all of that. So now I just have to play defense, and then, you know, I'm going to survive. Rook b6, king g7, she plays rook b8. And I'm like, oh, okay, her idea is to play rook e2 and rook e8. So let's try to create counterplay. Let's try to, you know, have some activity for the king. And I was expecting either a king move or a pawn move, and Pia goes here. And I'm like, oh my God, she just threw the game. I was like, what? I just take? And when she tries to mate me, I take with check. She completely forgot that I take with check. So now I win 2 pawns, and now I'm not going to lose. And I completely relaxed. Like, okay, I was annoyed at myself the entire game, but I completely relaxed. Completely relaxed. Like, she went here, and I took and was like, oh, that's it. I survive. She goes here, check, king g3. I'm like, wow. Now, her threat is rook h8. It's not rook g8. Rook h8 is mate. Rook h8, rook g8. So I can't move my king. I'm like, I gotta put this guy somewhere. I looked at rook b5. I was like, rook b5, but then, you know, why don't I just go here? Well, she plays king f4. And now my king does not escape. And not only does my king not escape, I can't go here because I lose my rook. If I wanted to move my rook somewhere, for example, rook a5, same thing would have happened. I would have gotten mated. I needed to go either rook b5 because at least it attacks the rook. She doesn't have a chance to move the king. But really, first rank defense is the savior here. Because if she tries to mate me, I think she just loses because I play f5 and my king runs away. But if I play rook f1 and she takes the pawn, it's a draw. It's not easy to draw. I have to find f5, then I have to find f6, and then here I have to also not lose, even though it looks like I'm losing. But yeah, not easy. And I just mentally was like so ready for the day to end. And it did end. It ended with me blundering checkmate. So I allowed the checkmate. And now I only have a 2-game lead. Would have been really nice to have a 3-game lead because that would have been 6 points. And every blitz game is 1 point. Would have been nice to have a 6 blitz game lead, but it's only a 4 blitz game lead. Regardless, I'm chuffed. I think that's the right word. Like, I'm so happy. You know, tomorrow will just be fun. We're going to play blitz and may the best player win. It's an honor to play Pia, and you know, I've really felt my level going up for the first like 10 games of this match. So I hope she's having a blast. You know, I am, not just because I'm up, but I really feel like we've been playing some really interesting games. Shout out to all of you at home watching. Battle of Generations ends tomorrow. Go to your local Walmart. Ask them about the chessboard. Get out of here.